Hey, it's Dr. Schmidt. So I'm going live. It's been a long week, a lot of censorship. It's kind of crazy. I want to go over some examples, and I have a lesson to teach. But this is the book Plague and then Plague of Corruption by Judy Mikovits. During this time of pandemic, there's been new names, right? Fauci and Birx. Of course, we all know about Bill Gates. And there's other people too who have made some headlines, but Judy Mikovits is the person to study. And I made a decision a few weeks ago that based on what she was saying, I'm going to learn everything she knows. I'm going to try my best to learn everything she knows. I've been watching videos of her interviews with Dr. Mercola, and she says words I don't know what they are. So yeah, I'm on page 81 of this book. What's interesting is that I see people debunking her, like Dr. Mike. He's an MD. He's got 5.6 million subscribers. He did a whole video debunking the 30-minute pandemic documentary introduction, right? They're going to release a full hour and a half or whatever documentary in the summer of 2020. Well, they released 30 minutes, and it's been banned everywhere, Facebook and YouTube. And Dr. Mike debunked it, and he never read the book. And I watched this last night, just like in awe of his ignorance. Now, he's a smart guy, and he's a pharma cheerleader, that's for sure. He's a pharma boy, and that's fine. That's that industry. But watching, and he does have valid points in the debunking. But he's going to fight for Fauci. He's going to fight for epidemiology and for the vaccine. And he's going to, he's a medical person. And we know the results that medicine has. They have let over 80,000 people die in the United States. And they've completely ignored the people that can cure COVID. And right now, the FTC is squashing these people along with social media. And there's a medical doctor in Texas. She was using COVID and having good results. And she was told, you can't order hydroxychloroquine anymore by the pharmacist. And well, she needed a diagnosis. And if she gave the diagnosis of COVID, they would not give her the prescription. And so then she started giving false diagnoses, and they caught her and they stopped, giving her any hydroxychloroquine. And she made a speech about it. It went on YouTube, and then that was taken down by YouTube. And then Dr. David Brownstein, I've mentioned him. He's not too far from my office, maybe 40 minutes. And he's a holistic MD. He's got a whole team of people. He's been documenting his successes. He's got a blog that's been going on for years. And he made about 8 or 10 videos he put on a YouTube page. And as of last night or this morning, his whole blog is taken down, and all of his videos on his YouTube page is taken down. These are the people that you're supposed to learn from. He made a note that the FTC told him that he can't do this anymore, meaning he can't email, he can't tweet, he can't post videos, he can't blog. Like he's done for a while. And he didn't say for how long. He didn't say that he was forced to do that by the FTC. I mean, I know the FTC will shut you down as far as like what you've posted already in the past, but what about for the future? So I'm wondering, is it part of his punishment that he can't post anymore? Did they levy a fine against him? They said, and in his message on his blog, you can go to his website, drbrownstein.com. You can go click on his blog button, and he has a message, and he's saying like what happened, and he can't post for a while. But the point here is that are they levying a fine against him? The point here, the FTC said you have to have research to prove that your therapy works, and there's no research that proves that COVID is cured by anything at all. So therefore, you can't promote anything at all for COVID, nothing. And to be honest, the research is less important than curing people. Like you want to cure people, and if it takes a whole bunch of ozone and vitamin D, C, and nebulizing hydrogen peroxide and iodine, and it works, then great. If it's hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc, and it works, then great. You can choose either one. And the more holistic MDs will go with the nutrients, and the more radical, not radical, forward thinking, pioneering standard medical doctors will go with the azithromycin, hydroxychloroquine, and zinc. So either way, it's working. The reports from the individuals over and over again now for 2 months, it's working. But the standard insanity is, oh, we need the research. So therefore, don't talk about anything at all, and let people die at home. Let people die in the hospital. They'd rather have people die than do something that's been shown to work in individual clinics. So it's just ridiculous. I'm going to give you an example of a person who got cured. There's that word again. I can't say that word. Of an intestinal problem on a therapy that has no research at all in the standard medical fields. And this therapy has been around since 1963. And the name, I'm going to tell you the name. I got the bottle right here. I'm not going to show you yet. But here's the condition. It's constant diarrhea and no urination. So I have a patient. She came into my office recently during the lockdown. I'm allowed to see people who, if I can prevent them from going to the hospital, going to the ER, or taking dangerous drugs, I'm allowed to see them. My job is to sustain and protect life during this time. Okay, so she told me her symptoms: constant diarrhea, many times a day. And I said, you got to come in here. And I saw her. I did the muscle testing. This is where the biofeedback enhanced, muscle testing comes in. I push on an arm. I know it looks weird on camera. Not many people do it, but I'm pushing on the arm and I'm testing things against her body, and I'm testing for parasites. I don't find anything. I test for viruses, bacteria, the energy of these organisms. I'm testing for gallbladder function, liver function, stomach, pancreas, all that stuff. And nothing comes up. And I'm testing for like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. And then finally, okay, and I'm running through all the possible things. What could it possibly be? Let's not forget about iodomir. This product from Standard Process, it came out in 1963. And here's what's special about it. It comes from a mussel in the ocean, the clams, the bivalves. It has a green color around the lips of the shell. It's called the green lip mussel. And green lip mussel is in here along with other things. And I don't know if anybody knows how it works, but it fixes the thyroid so that the thyroid can fix the kidneys so that the intestines work better. So let me explain this a little bit deeper. So there's a situation that this patient had where the kidneys don't work very well, and the urine doesn't go through the bladder. Instead, it gets shunted back up into the intestines. And then you're pooping out urine. The diarrhea is urine. So there's no urination or very little, and there's a lot of diarrhea, and it's very, very liquidy, and it's multiple times a day. And I've seen this in my career 5 times in 23 years. That's how rare it is. And so iodomir fixes it. And Dr. Royal Lee, who created this, him and his team created that. And this is what fixes that situation. I put her on 8 a day, and it's been 2 weeks. And I'm going to read you the email. So, hello, Dr. Schmidt. Please allow me to thank you so much for seeing me in person 2 weeks ago. That alone gave me relief and hope. I feel much better, and friends and family tell me I'm looking better. So in other people, people get drawn out, like their face becomes pale and they get sort of shallow, if you will, in the face. She says, my diarrhea has reduced to about 2 to 4 times a day, and I can tell that my body is attempting to create a more solid stool. Sorry to be graphic. I'm still dealing with dehydration, although that is improving too. I felt 20% better after 1 week and now 40% better after 2 weeks. I've taken the iodomir faithfully, as well as my other supplements for immune support. Those are her own supplements that she had. I just recommended this one thing. I look forward to seeing you at my follow-up. Okay, great. So there's, let me get this off the screen. So there's an example. I have to give you a couple more successes. So I got a guy in New Mexico, male, age 29, and it's warm in New Mexico. and I put him on some supplements to clean out parasites. And I'm talking about, they're called Para 1, Para 2, and Para 3. Well, Para 3, I've mentioned before in my videos, it gets into the joints, like in your fingers, toes, feet, sinuses. It clears out garbage, organisms from head to toe. So he tells me that he starts sweating in his hands, and sometimes he's sweating in his feet, and sometimes he's sweating at his stomach. Isn't that weird? Just imagine sitting around and then suddenly your stomach starts sweating. Well, that means his immune system is working and it's killing something in that location. And now for the first time in his life, his feet are warm. This guy, a young male living in New Mexico in the summertime, his feet are cold. And now they're warm because we're killing parasites in his feet. That's amazing. These things happen randomly. The weird twinges in different parts of the body, the warmth or the sweating appearing in different parts of the body, the awkward, it's just an awkward feeling inside the body. It means it's working. And I want to say that there's, I had a patient recently who was explaining about what's coming out of the intestines. So mucus and pus. Like if you're on some nutritional supplements and you have like some sort of a chronic disease, expect some weird results, some weird things coming, and then work through it and make sure you can get through it. And if it's too much, you got to cut back. But if you can make through, if you can get through it, fine, then keep going. That's the message right here. So I had somebody recently, he got rid of a few parasites that were a few inches long, and maybe once a week. And then one day he got this big clump of mucus, just a big, like tapioca pudding type scenario. Like all of a sudden, like there it is. Okay, so randomly things come out like that. So that's what you should be looking for as you're improving health. It's not always pleasant, but you can handle it. It's handleable, if that's a word. So, okay, that's all I wanted to share with you. So we have a few more minutes. It's been 12 minutes. Ask me some questions. Any recommendation for an immune stem booster? Do you mean immune system booster? I have late stage Lyme. I don't, in my whole career, I don't know of anything that's an immune system booster. It's a word that people use a lot, the term booster. I never use it because, like echinacea, for example, it doesn't boost anything. It makes your immune system work better by making, it's like putting glasses on so you can see better. So echinacea makes the immune system smarter. Something like berberine or eleuthero can help. The herbal components itself in the berberine, for example, can kill organisms. So maybe that would be an immune booster, but I don't see it at that. So, but anyways, the company called Cellcore Biosciences has some products that are really good for Lyme. IS Boost, IS Bor, IS Bart. Bart meaning Bartonella, Bor meaning Borrelia. IS means immune support or immune support. So those have been fantastic for Lyme, absolutely fantastic. I was always sort of intimidated by Lyme. Patients would come to me and I would say, well, you can go see so-and-so, they're supposed to be good with Lyme, and go see somebody else, they're supposed to be good with Lyme. And, I had a patient tell me once, well, everybody refers to everybody else for Lyme, but now I have really good answers for it. And so if you have Lyme, you can contact me and maybe become a patient. So enlarged supraclavicular gland started parasite cleanse, felt like the S word had to stop. Now I have this enlarged gland on my neck. Drainage, yes. The drainage would be, for example, Spanish black radish from Standard Process, biotoxin binder from Cellcore Biosciences, or better yet, lymphatic support, that product from Cellcore Biosciences. Also, I'm a big fan of the Lymphinest, which is from a company called Marco Pharma. So yeah, load up on the drainage. If that drainage product has the word lymph in it, that's what you need to get that lymph node down. What can you do for a tooth infection? Go to dentist and get that tooth pulled out. You got to go to a holistic dentist. Maybe they can use ozone and ozonate it and fix it that way. But it's worth a try, but you may have to get that pulled out. Dentists try to preserve teeth. It's not always a good thing to preserve teeth. Can parasites in the sinus cause green infection with some blood discharge? Yeah, absolutely. Typically, green infection would be bacteria. But remember, parasites can harbor bacteria and viruses and heavy metals and Lyme. So that's why you want to get parasites out. Now, when I mention these things that parasites harbor, I'm not making that up. That's in the research. Maybe one day I'll do a slideshow like for YouTube about with the studies that show what the parasites have. I have a friend whose feet did turn blue after he was in the hospital for 3 days when the doctors said he had frostbite. That's not frostbite. It's just a lack of circulation. I've had a lot of people tell me that, they have little bites on their hands, feet, legs. They go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh yeah, those are insect bites. Well, what? How do you know that? Like, no, that could be yeast inside the body. That could be like a lymphatic congestion problem. There could be, if you have insect bites, yeah, I've seen that where people are digging in the dirt and the mites, bite their hands and stuff. So calama would be good for that. Lymphatic support could be good for that. Are you familiar with Dr. Horowitz? There's several Dr. Horowitzes. I follow one on Twitter named Dr. Stephen Horowitz, but I'm not sure about Dr. Horowitz and Lyme disease. Chris, anything for liver issues? Yeah, there's a ton of, I have 25 different products for liver issues. So it just depends. As a matter of fact, I have a patient. Oh, this is a really good story. This is just like a few days ago. So I talked to this person on the phone about 5 weeks ago, and we're running through all these symptoms. And I was like, oh man, you got to fix your liver up. So I put him on 4 liver products. And his main symptom was anxiety. Now, years ago, he would have an anxiety attack every 10 minutes. And sometimes it's so bad, for some people, I know I'm looking for my phone. I know some people, they got 911 on speed dial on their phone because they feel like they might have a heart attack. But he cleaned up his diet. He had a really bad diet through college. And then when I talked to him 5 weeks ago or so, he still was having horrible anxiety and panic attacks maybe once a week or something. So after doing the liver drainage and he cleaned up his diet even more, he's 90% better. So you can have liver problems, stomach problems, digestive problems causing anxiety. So anyways, I just loaded him up on that. Any alternative to gallbladder removal with a quarter-sized stone? Oh, that's a really good question. I just had a great success with that too. We have a family member that is scheduled for surgery tomorrow morning. So quarter-sized stone, like the coin, that's pretty big. And now I have a patient, I've been talking to her on the phone more than 2 years, and it's almost upsetting how many stones she had in her gallbladder. And she just her doctors kept telling her, you got to get this out or you're going to die. And even I was on the phone with her, like, look, you should really consider getting your gallbladder taken out. Well, she refused, and she just kept taking Chanca piedra. That's an herb. You can Google that word, Chanka, Chanca piedra, or Stonebreaker is the name of a supplement. I think they had to change that name, though. Anyways, that plus fast food, plus calama, plus vitamin D and K2, there's a bunch of nutrients that you can do to soften stones. And she did this. She's eliminating stones for a long period of time and getting better. And she lost, 80 pounds. And and she was getting scans. And then at one point, not too long ago, she had 1 stone left. And it was like 3/4 of an inch. It was big. And I'm like, okay, great. Now that's the 1 stone that you can get taken out surgically. And she's like, no, she's going to continue to work on with the nutrients. And sure enough, about 9 weeks ago, she got rid of that 1 stone. It came out through her colon, into the toilet. And she could feel it coming out, and she's doing great. Now, initially, years ago with me, her program was big. She had a lot of supplements, a lot of bottles of pills, just huge. And I don't really like to do that, but she wanted it, and she kept taking it, and she was always learning and studying other doctors and buying their products and, seeing monitoring her body. And now her program is very small. I think I have her on like 4 bottles of pills that have 1 pill a day, and then 2 more bottles with like 3 pills a day. So it's a very small program compared to before, which is fantastic. So she's like the perfect example of somebody chronically ill, almost, medically, needing surgery, and just persisting through and giving it the time and monitoring and learning. So I'm super happy with her results. And I just talked to her this week and just thanked her up and down for her persistence and even not listening to me when I told her maybe you should get surgery. Don't kill your parasites. They're helping you not get disease. That's not a true statement. If you kill them, you'll have a hard time detoxing. That's not a true statement either. So there was a series of articles a while ago talking about people who have allergies and then they get parasites, the allergies go away. And there was one guy from the United States. He flew to Africa. He went to some tribes. He walked around barefoot. He walked around the latrines, the open pit, dig a hole in the ground, poop in a hole, latrines. He walked around barefoot in order to get a parasite, and he got a parasite and his allergies went away. But that's not medicine. It's allopathic. That is allopathic. You trade one disease for another, right? The definition of allopathy is you trade one disease for another, like statin drugs, for example, lower your cholesterol, but get Alzheimer's. Okay, that's allopathy. Get a parasite, and then remove, get rid of allergies. So that guy's problem was his doctor didn't know how to fix allergies. You got to fix the liver. You got to, there's multiple reasons why you can get allergies. So parasite by definition is bad for your body. It means one who sits at your table, parasite. So somebody sitting at your table eating your food. So we got to get rid of the idea that parasites are good for us. There are some organisms that are helpful, probiotics, for example. Okay. Can a typhoid infection lead to leaky gut? Sure. Any kind of organism that's nasty in your intestines can drill holes through the intestines. All right. Cool. I'm going to end this off. So it's 22 minutes in. Read books. Hey, do you remember what these are? They're made from trees. These are important. Now, if you go on my YouTube channel, hit the community tab. I put a link to where you can get Plague of Corruption, her second book. It just was released like last week. #1 New York Times bestseller list. Fauci hates it. Dr. Birx, Bill Gates, and all the pharma people, they hate that. She does have a solution for a vaccine. It'd be a pill, 50 cents a pill, completely natural, super beneficial for not just one organism like COVID-2, whatever, but many different organisms. And so her solution would be inexpensive, effective, and it would not cost a lot of money. And so pharmaceutical companies don't like her for that. So books, Plague of Corruption and Plague. And like I said, it's going to take me more than 6 months or maybe a year I want to get every bit of knowledge from her brain. I don't care what Fauci says. I don't care what Bill Gates says. There's a lot of people that have been, gotten some limelight, fame in the last 2 months. This is the person, if you fully understand everything she says, maybe you might find that she's, full of lies. But if you don't read her books, how are you ever going to know? So that's intriguing to me. And I'm going to study as much as I can from her. Because if I can understand what she's saying, maybe then I can apply various supplements and have a complete understanding of how to do this naturally, and I know supplement developers, and I know how smart they are. I know what questions to ask. And maybe in the next 3 years, I can have some really good things in the natural. I already have really good things in the natural world for various issues like coronavirus, for example. I still, to this day, have 0 active veteran patients get COVID-19. 0 out of thousands of people who are active and veteran patients. So that says something. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to take off. Thanks for watching. See ya.